Often referred to as America's first serial killer, Dr. Henry Howard Holmes arrived in Chicago in 1893, where he built himself a hotel that eventually earned the moniker Murder Castle. The 3-story boarding house was built with crime in mind and was full of booby traps and secret rooms intended to aid in Holmes's murderous efforts. The notorious killer was arrested in Boston in 1895, and he went on to confess to 30 murders, though many believe his body count is as high as 200. Evan Peters' James Patrick March, who appears as a ghostly villain in Season 5, similarly built his own hotel of horrors where he, like his inspiration, lured victims into torture chambers and sealed them in the rooms with brick. The fictional killer every year is also joined by other iconic murderers like Eileen Wuornos, the Zodiac Killer, and Jeffrey Dahmer. Season 3's LaLaurie was a real Creole socialite who lived in New Orleans in the 1830s. Like her American Horror Story equivalent played by Kathy Bates, the LaLaurie matriarch is best known today for her attic of horrors, where she tortured and murdered her household slaves. When authorities arrived to quell a kitchen fire in 1834, they found a 70-year-old woman chained to the stove by her ankle. Refused the keys to the slave quarters by the LaLauries, officers broke down the door where they found 7 slaves, more or less horribly mutilated, suspended by the neck with their limbs apparently stretched out and torn from each other, according to an archived article of New Orleans Bee. Murderous clowns are no strangers to nightmares and bad dreams, but Freak Show's Twisty the Clown was especially horrifying. This is perhaps in part due to his real-life inspiration, John Wayne Gacy. Dubbed the Killer Clown, Gacy often sported a bulbous nose and face paint as his goofy character Pogo during local parties and fundraisers. Between 1972 and 1978, Gacy murdered and sexually assaulted at least 33 men and boys in Illinois. And while his clowning gig never directly tied into his murdering spree, the serial killer often painted himself as Pogo the Clown while he was behind bars. His television counterpart also goes on to show up in the following season, significantly less disfigured than his debut appearance in Season 4, as the ghost of Gacy himself. Clown mask in hand, he sits down with March and the other murderers during the frightful October celebration. While American Horror Story takes plenty of liberties with the mythical disappearance of the lost Roanoke colony, the ruthless leader of the undead colonists is actually based on a real person. Leader of the North Carolina settlement, John White set across the ocean with the hopes of getting some additional provisions and aid for his people, but when he returned, everyone, including his wife Thomasine, who ruled in his absence, had vanished. In American Horror Story, she takes on the role of the butcher, who routinely makes human sacrifices to maintain her power.